Welcome to another G4 Guitar Teacher Hangout. My name is David Hart, and today we will be going through some topics, and we'll start off with the question time, and then we'll build it from there. What would you like to discuss today?
Well, I was thinking of talking about. I was wondering about how to get potential investors to invest in the business.
Yep. Okay, no worries. So how to get investors, and we might cover things like, what you're going to do with that investor money, and how you're going to make it work for you and your investors, and obviously.
That'd be good.
Okay, excellent. Right.
Another one, actually, one.
Yep, go.
I was just saying another one is because I'm about to renew my lease, and so maybe any tips you might have about negotiating a good deal with the real estate.
Yep. Negotiate lease.
Yeah, that's it.
Okay. All right, fantastic. All right, so Monty is here as well, but he'll probably be back in a minute. So I'll just get started on yours anyway, and then if he joins with a question, we'll go from there. Okay, so how to get investors. So first of all, tell me what you are going to do. How much money would you want from an investor? Is there an amount that you have in mind that you would need?
No, I haven't thought about it.
Okay, cool. So these are the things I'm going to throw these kind of questions at you to get you started to think about, because for an investor, what they're looking at is to really they're buying a percentage of your business. They're betting on a percentage of your business. What they want to say, they want to look at your business and they want to say, okay, how much are you willing to sell and at what price? And then depending on how much they buy into it and what the conditions are, you will depend on how much they give you, how much control that they want, whether they have any control at all. So have you ever watched the show Shark Tank?
Yeah, once or twice, yeah.
Okay. Watch that show a little bit and you'll get a bit of a feel for what savvy investors are looking for. It's really a great show for that, because those guys, they're not on that show. It's not like one of those shows where, if you look at shows like Idol or those particular shows, those guys get paid a lot of money to be there. But on Shark Tank, they're definitely getting paid as well, I'm sure. But they're not really needing to do it for the money, because most of those guys are very wealthy, and it's more about an opportunity for them to be there and to see these particular products and ideas and pick which ones they're going to invest in. So it's quite, in my opinion, quite a legitimate show and a good one to watch. There's another show in the US which you would have to look on YouTube, but there are episodes called The Profit, and it's really good as well, because this is again a guy who understands business from the point of view of the investor. So if you sort of get a feel for what they're thinking and where they're coming from, it's all about empathy. Everything when it comes to selling anything, you've really got to get in the shoes of the person who is going to come to you. So think about the kind of questions that you'd want to know. If I said to you, hey Joachim, how would you like to invest in my business? What kind of questions are you going to ask me? So I'll throw this at you. What are you going to want to know if I asked you to invest in my business?
Probably I want to know sort of your operation, like how you've been, how's you been cash flow been going since you started? What's the is it going up? Are you improving? And then probably what's your plan for what are you going to invest the money into? Okay.
Yep. So where's the money going to go? And you obviously want to know probably what you're going to get out of it, how much you're going to make. Is that true?
Yep.
And see, a lot of investors, the way that they work these days is that they often try and seize control of the business, because they don't want to be there and run it. They don't want to do it because that's they don't have the time or the interest. But what they want to do is they still want to control the way it works, because in many cases they've had successful businesses in the past, or they've had failed businesses which they've learned from. And when they look at your business, they don't want to feel that they're out of control of a business that's, you know, doing a nosedive and in real trouble. So that's where often bringing an investor in, especially an experienced investor, it's not just about the money, it's about getting them, getting their input and listening to what they say as far as navigating your business. So, you know, when you bring investors in, there are two things, but, you know, in a sense, that's what I'm here for. So you don't necessarily need someone to help you to navigate that side of it, but it might be someone who can help you in other ways, because obviously I don't have all the answers. I'm not the answer to everybody's problems, but what I can do is tell you about this business and what's worked for me. And if you brought in someone who was in maybe another industry, or has a different, maybe a billionaire who has, you know, who's on another level to where I'm at, who can really show you how to get the business to a bigger scale. But to start where you are, what I would do is go, okay, what would happen? Start in like small figures. Start with $10,000. What would you do? So I'll throw this at you. What would you do with $10,000 if someone invested it with you today? He said, "Here's $10,000. Joachim, what are you going to do with it?"
Probably use like maybe half of it on just marketing, flyers, and then maybe have another half just opening a small school in Bondi, for example.
Excellent. Okay, so to open a second school. All right, that's great. So if you can start doing the exercise of what you need the money for and how it's going to improve your business, because what the mistake that I hear a lot of business owners used to hear on the Shark Tank sometimes, and they talk about it, is they want to take the money to pay off their bills. So, no, I don't want to invest in your money to pay your bills to get you out of trouble. So they never want to hear that you're in trouble. That's one thing that they don't want. And so whenever you're asking for an investor to come in, what you really want to be doing is saying that I've got this great business. Here it is. Here's why it's great. Here's why it's working. But with some more money, we can open a second location. That would be my main interest if I was thinking of, you know, from an investment point of view. I would look at it and go, okay, show me how you're succeeding where you are now, because that's your prototype. That's the example that you're doing. It's a bit like, let's say, a guitar, where I want to see a good guitar. I want to see the guitar that you've made, good quality, plays well, it looks great, everything about it I love. And you say, now I can make you one for this much money. That's what I want to hear. So if you say to an investor, give me 10 grand, give me 20, give me 50, whatever it is, and say, look, I can open another school like this in Bondi, and you know, we'll split the profits. You put up the money, I will actually get it up and running and manage it for you, and the profits of that business will be 50-50. And that would be an attractive proposition for somebody who's looking to invest, providing they can look at your first guitar and see that it's working really nicely, that everything's in place. So when you take that perspective, it really, I think, is a really good perspective to take, by the way, in that you start looking at the current business you've got and say, have I got an old beaten up guitar that's always out of tune, that the frets are misaligned, the electronics are a bit dodgy, or do I have a really good guitar here that people would love a copy of? So if you can look at your business and say, well, these are the things I need, then you'll fix those things up for the point of your business being a sellable product, or a prototype at least. All right. So, like, you've got your T-shirt on, which is great. Look at your shop, look at your store. How's it all presented? What, where are your folders? Is it organized? When people come into the studio, does it feel like a good environment? All these things are going to be the factors that they're deciding on to invest beyond where you are now.
Yes.
All right.
So should we be looking for investors?
This is a question that Joachim just posed. I'm not necessarily suggesting it. I'm of the school, yeah. I'm kind of the thinking, and I'm not saying it's not a good idea if you've got a good idea and you don't have the money to take it to the next level. There's definitely no, I don't have a sort of a bias here one way or the other. But what I always have taken the approach is, in terms of investors, is that I only want to bring an investor in if I can see an opportunity that I can't really, finance myself. If I can't see a way to finance that, then, and what a lot of, and it is a strategy of wealthy people. So I'm not necessarily giving you the advice of the majority of the rich people. The majority of the rich people, what they do is they try not to take the risk. They try and get other people to take the risk, and that's why you see some of the billionaires and whatever who still borrow money from banks. They'll go and borrow a lot of money to build a project, but they'll put it under a company name. They'll distance themselves from it. So if the project collapses, they've still got all their money over here. We've seen that with Donald Trump, where he's gone in and done things in certain areas in the US, and he's detached himself from that, leaving the damage behind.
Yep, that's how you do it.
That's right. The
American way.
Yes. Well, it's the billionaire way, I think. I think I think it's irresponsible, and I think if you're going to do something, it's like anything. Put yourself on the line. Don't put other people's on the line. And if you back yourself, then you tend to work harder, and you're not going to cut you're not going to jump out as soon as things get tough for a better proposition. So,
well, we want to get incorporated eventually, right? Instead of being a sole proprietorship. Exactly.
Each of you should look at becoming. I'm a company. I think Youre is too. He's a registered company. There are advantages, but it depends on how much you're earning. When you're not earning a lot, you don't really need to do it. It's probably unnecessary. It makes no real difference. But when you get to a certain point, then you want to do that. So to understand the whole, and this is something that I didn't understand for a long time, and someone who speaks well about it is Kiyosaki, but there's a lot of other good speakers and writers on the topic. But to understand the reason, sometimes you'll see the average guy on the street, the little guy, who is struggling, and I hear about these corporations like Google and Facebook and all the rest of them who are paying 1%, 2% tax, and they get angry about it in an uproar. I'm paying 25, 30, 40% tax, whatever tax you're paying, and here are these billion-dollar companies paying small rates of tax. What gets sometimes, even though they get a bad kind of rap on that, the other side to understand, and I always try and look at both sides of the story, the other side is that governments are actually set up, tax departments and governments, which are the same thing, are set up to keep the economy going. That's really the main function of a government, is to keep an economy going. Because if an economy is not working, then everybody is going to suffer in the end. So if you look at the US economy and you look at the federal bank pumping in lots of money, whether you like it or not, good or bad, what they're doing is really propping up the economy to keep it going, so we're not in another depression, because that was really 2008. Had they not jumped in and done things, you would have seen a domino effect of a whole bunch of corporations and companies collapsing all over the place. So the idea is to keep the business, keep the financial institutions alive and well. And what they do is they create tax incentives for companies that do that. So the Googles and your Facebooks, even though they might not be paying a lot of tax, what they are doing is creating a lot of business and creating a lot of wealth for the country. So if you think about, if Australia owned Google or Facebook, we would all be super wealthy here, because instead of those companies covering a country with 300 and whatever million people, we're a country of 20-something million people. It'd be like the state of, I don't know, Washington or something, being the whole of Google, Facebook, whatever. So those companies, the massive companies, taking in huge amounts of money and creating a lot of revenue for the US. So they in a sense, they deserve the tax breaks, not because they're of some of the obvious reasons, but because that they're using the actual tax incentives that have been set up by the government, which are available to all of us. And so that's why when you become a corporation, you can actually cash in on some of those tax breaks. So for instance, Monty, let me do this exercise with you. What's the tax rate? I'm not going to ask you what you pay, but what's the tax rate for an average income earner in the US?
30%.
30%. Okay, cool. So if I have a job, I turn up to the company, and I earn $100,000 a year, then $30,000 of that goes to the government, and that's it. I lose that $30,000. But if you're a sole trader, you obviously can lower that because of certain expenses. But if you're a corporation, you can lower it even more. And the idea is that if you use that money, so in other words, if you make $100,000 within your own business, and that $30,000 by all rights goes to the government, unless you can use that $30,000 for something. And that something, the tax incentives are generally designed for you to put that $30,000 back into the economy and stimulate the economy. So what they're asking you to do is to spend the money. If you don't spend the money, we'll tax you on it. That's what the government is saying. So when you look at a lot of these guys who don't pay a lot of tax, what they're doing is they're actually spending the money on things that are supposed, according to the tax rules, and that's why they're designed, supposedly generating income for or stimulating the economy. So that's why they'll give tax breaks on things like real estate ownership, if you own real estate and rental, because people need property, people need places to live, so the government will give you a tax break if you are investing in rental properties. Things like, one of the things Kiyosaki talked about is he invests in oil exploration. So he's got shares in companies that do oil exploration, and because of that, he gets tax breaks on that because the government wants people to be investing in those guys to find more oil for the US, because then it helps the country become wealthier. So the trick is, if you want to have the tax breaks, is to set up your situation or your life so that the things that you pay for are tax breaks. So, Joachim, what are some things that you can think of that you could be investing in that could be tax breaks? Places you could spend your profits that you would bring pleasure to you, but also be a tax break.
Guitar, so I can, if I want a new guitar, I can get that.
Yep.
Or I know you meant, if you buy a holiday house overseas, you can use that as a tax deductible.
Yep. So you could, in effect, you could, because you're from Norway, if you want to take trips to Norway to see your family and do things like that, all you would need to do is go back there and buy some property. And if you've got a corporation, a company, then your company doesn't have to specifically be doing guitar teaching. Your company could also have a branch of it that's investing in property. So what you do is you set up that company and you have an investment property in Norway, and then every time you take a trip, you just got to make sure that you spend some time going and visiting your property, take a few pictures, all the rest of it. I know it sounds a bit dodgy, but that's how it works. Where does the government draw the line? They can't, they don't know, but it sets you up so then you can go to Norway whenever you like to see your family and friends and use that trip as a tax deduction. Okay. Now, something else here which is very interesting, which I've come across recently, and this is again something that I've learned from one of my mentors, and this is what's really important, to have mentors and to pay coaches and listen to people, especially people who have had more experience. I'm about to get thousands of dollars back from the government, the Australian government, and the reason is that any money spent on what they consider overseas investment, offshore investment, they actually now have a scheme where they will give you back 50% of what you spent. So the money that I've spent on Facebook marketing, because Facebook for Australians is an offshore investment, but it's only if you're advertising to people offshore. So in other words, you can't do it if you're marketing to people in Paddington or in Sydney, right? If you're marketing for Australian clients, you can't claim this particular grant that they're giving. But for someone like me who's been marketing in the US, in the UK, then I can actually claim back most of my costs that I spent in those marketing to those countries. And I can also claim the trips that I've taken overseas. So when I've gone to Thailand and for marketing Japan, etc., where I've been to these marketing seminars in those countries, I can claim back those, and I'll get 50% of the travel, airfares, the actual price of the seminars, etc. So it's thousands of dollars that I'm going to get back in government grants, which will effectively negate all my tax. So if you want to look at the books, you can just say, well, the government and I are going to be square by the end of this. So these are the things that see the government wants me to do. They want me to invest overseas because the governments now, it's happening all around the world, they want us entrepreneurs to get on the global scale. They want us to be bringing money into the country, and this is where especially here in Australia, we've got a situation right now where the mining is dropped a lot, and so we've got this because Australia is dependent on mining exports to China. China's economy has slowed down, and so what that's meant is that they've slowed down their imports from in terms of mining. And Australia's something like 50% of Australia's economy has been coming from China in terms of our mining exports. So this is a big slowdown for Australia as well, which is why our dollar has dropped a lot against the US dollar. But understanding, I hope this is making sense and I'm not getting too far away from things here, but the idea is that your biggest saving will be tax. That's where you're going to make the most money. If you can keep on top of your tax, then you will make a lot more money than most people who end up paying a large portion of their money in tax. In Australia, when you get over, I think it's about $120,000, $130,000, if you declare that full money and you're not a corporation or you're not writing off expenses, you could pay as much as 49% of that money to the government, which seems a bit unfair, but it's just lack of knowledge, lack of not knowing the rules.
I just had a question.
Yep.
So you mentioned with the if you go to seminars, is that anywhere, or does it have to be a specific marketing seminar? Or
it's generally you got to go overseas, so you got to leave the country for this particular grant. Yeah, so it can be anywhere, but I think the part of it is I'd have to look at it again, but I think part of it is that it has to be about bringing international revenue. So it's not money that's generated in Australia. So if you go to a marketing seminar, say you went to Thailand for a marketing seminar, you can't claim that if all your business is focused on local income. You have to have something where it's coming from overseas, selling products overseas.
Right. Yeah. I understand now.
Yeah. So, but if you do, you can do it to an extent. Whereas if you do some kind of affiliate marketing where you're already doing it, as I put the G4 Guitar Method on your sites, then that's basically global. You're not restricted to just selling that in Australia. You can sell it wherever you want to put it. So, and it's probably not enough to really get them excited, but it's kind of heading in the right direction. And yeah, anything that you can do where you're stimulating overseas, and my point is not for you guys to worry about this on your local level. It's just an example of a grant that governments give, and there are lots of grants. That's just one grant. There are many grants that governments give because grants and tax incentives are all about stimulating the economy, and there are hundreds, if not thousands, of them. And the more you look, the more you will find there are grants that I'm sure that you would qualify. And Monty, I'm absolutely sure the same occurs in the US, where there'll be certain grants for different incentives, different things that you do to stimulate the economy.
So is that, do you look up, where do you look, like where do you search for it? How do you look up?
Go to just this particular one, just hang on a sec. Just see if I can find. Okay. It's the actual grant is called the EMDG claim. So I've got the link in front of me, but I don't want to spend too much time chasing it, but I'll just put this in and see if it comes up. So just give me 1 second. Export marketing development grants. Okay. All right. So it's called the export. I know this might be cutting out, but I'll give you the link. It's called the Export Market Development Grant. Export Marketing Development Grant. And I'll just put the link in the window.
Great
for it. Okay. All right. Monty, did you want to say something?
To get these, I guess, tax breaks, we'd have to be set up as, corporation, incorporated?
Depends. Some you probably would, some you don't. It just
okay.
Yeah, there are grants on local grants as well. Like if you look into it, you'll see that there are federal grants, and then there are local government grants, because everyone's trying to stimulate. Everyone, and sometimes they got handed money where the government, just for whatever reason, some lobbyist or somebody rallies, or so the government says, all right, we'll give $5 billion for this particular cause, and like the government here has just dropped $100 million for helping domestic violence against women. So all these organisations that help women with domestic violence will be able to put in an application to get some of this money for their particular cause, whatever it is. So these kind of things are being done all the time. Whether you qualify for it or not, it just depends. But they're out there. Yeah.
Got to look into that.
Yeah, some people make a living out of it. They actually keep chasing grants and yeah. You go.
Oh, are a lot of the G4 teachers incorporated? Or?
Not many, no. Most of them would be sole traders, I'd imagine. Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah, I think there's only a couple of us that are. So it's look into it and sort of work it out what the tax rules are. It's interesting how things vary, because in Australia here as a corporation, you can't claim food or restaurants or any of that kind of thing. I think in the US you can claim a little bit. I'm not 100% sure. But in Japan has a real culture of business where they entertain, where you take your clients to lunch and dinner and all this sort of thing, and get them drunk on the sake and then get them to sign on the line. So in Japan, as a company, if I have a company in Japan, then I can claim everything. So go to the supermarket, I can claim all my food, and I mean everything, because they just don't look into it. They just say whatever you buy, because they don't know whether you're going to the supermarket to buy things for your clients or whether you're buying it for your home. So they just don't even look into it. So yeah, they do have a higher tax rate though.
So it's a bit dodgy, as you would say.
I mean, you can take advantage of it. Put it that way. But they compensate that by, we have to remember there's GST, like goods and services tax, as well, and I know you guys have it as well. So you're still paying tax. You're just not within your company, not having to you can take that as tax deduction. So if you rented a commercial premises that had a house connected to it or an apartment somehow, and this is in Japan, and you bought all your food, you can basically write all that off on your company, so you end up paying really very little tax, if any at all. It's possible. You just keep, but that's if you don't make a profit after you've spent all your money. If you want to make a profit and save some money, then you may need to pull some out and pay tax on it. So yeah, cool. But remember that if you look at just look at me, for example, right, and the government looks at me and says, okay, you don't pay a lot of tax, Mr. Hart, and that could seem like a bad thing, but at the same time, here I am working with guys around Australia, so they're not standing in the unemployment queue waiting for money. Not that they would, but it's just the fact that I'm helping them. In that sense, I'm stimulating the economy by helping these particular guys build businesses and again employ people. As you look at Youre alone, he's employing 4 people now. Is that right, Youre? 5 people?
It's 5, yeah.
Yeah, 5 people. Okay, so
wow.
so that's really stimulating the economy, and on top of that, I'm bringing money into Australia. So through people like you, Monty. So you can see that the government would look at me and go, oh, well, he doesn't pay a lot of tax, but he does a lot for the economy. So we don't mind, and that's the way that governments think. The average person doesn't think that way, unfortunately. That person looks at you and goes, Dave, you only pay 5% tax. I pay 30. You should pay your share. But no, because I'm doing other things with that money. Where you're giving it to the government, what you're basically saying is, here's the money, government. I don't know what to do with it. You do something with it. Whereas I'm saying, look, I know what to do with my money. Let me stimulate the economy with the money. That's really the difference.
Thinking smart.
Yeah. Because look, governments are very clever. They're not silly. They don't lose out. But when they look at the money and they look at the way, they know that if they tax the big players too heavily, then they'll all leave. They'll all go to Dubai or somewhere else where it's tax free. I think that happened in the US. Everyone went to Vegas, didn't they? Because it was a tax-free state.
I don't know, but yeah.
It was. It was in the 90s when I was there. In Vegas, there's no state tax. I'm not saying there's not a federal tax that always applies, but yeah, there was no state tax, and so that's why it really stimulated the economy in Nevada, because people were able to buy property without the taxes, the state taxes, and all that sort of thing. So, yeah.
So that's why all the casinos are there, so they don't have to pay taxes.
Pretty well, yeah. They have their own rules. I think I'm getting this secondhand from my uncle who lived in Vegas, but he said that and he, by the way, would be 80 if he was alive. He's not alive now. So he grew up in California, so he kind of, I guess, he knows the area. But he said the early days in California were the gamblers. The black market, the kind of mafia, if you like, were running, and then the Californian state government or whatever said, don't do it here. Go out somewhere and do it somewhere else. So they went over the border to Nevada, and Nevada goes, yeah, sure, we got nothing here. So any revenue is good revenue for us. We'll let you do whatever you want as long as we get a share.
Cool.
And that's how it all happened. And that's why the casinos are all in Vegas and not in LA.
Mm-hmm.
I think it'd be much nicer being on a beachfront, but anyway.
Yeah, it's wonder why they're all out in the middle of the desert. That's why.
That's it. They got kicked out there. Get away. Go out there.
Mm-hmm.
Okay, so Monty, do you have any specific questions that you wanted to?
Well, I think I emailed you about this before, but like right now I'm looking at Facebook and I see I guess the ad that our Facebook ad campaign.
Yeah.
And so I see the Guitar School Pittsburgh 99 5-week intro course. David Hart likes Guitar Lessons Pittsburgh, so you gave me a like. Thank you. And my wife.
Welcome.
And it says, let's see, 9 likes, 3 comments, 5 shares. And I asked, should I approach these folks? And you were like, sure. So how do I word it? What do I say? It's like, hey, do you want to take lessons? How would you word? How does David Hart word that?
I would just, if they've liked or shared, maybe just thank them. Just say thank you for liking our page, or thank you for sharing the page, and see if they respond. It's better to do that than to come in with a sales pitch or to appear in any way to be trying to. And if they don't respond, then you haven't said anything or done anything that comes across as spammy. If they do respond, then you've got an opening for a conversation. They might say, no problem, you're happy to do it, etc., etc. And then from there you say, do you play guitar now, or just start with your normal qualifying questions. Do you play guitar? Have you got a guitar? And then just see how they respond. I'm very cautious with the online, so I don't push it. I don't want to get flagged as somebody who's spamming people. But at the same time, think about it. Always come back to how you would feel at a party, and you don't want people selling you stuff at a party. And Facebook is a party platform. That's the way that we're often told to think about Facebook. LinkedIn is more of a business format. People are there to do business. They're there to find partners and learn from each other and trade and whatever. So it's a different format. People are not so concerned about you approaching them, whereas in Facebook, it's a casual hanging out with my family and friends. Don't try and push some stuff on me. So don't turn up to a party with your watches under your coat saying, would you like to buy one of these? What you want to do is just mingle, talk to people, and if someone, it's like you're wearing your t-shirt, like I teach guitar, G4 guitar t-shirt, and someone says, hey, cool, I like that shirt. That's kind of liking your button, right? That's the whole thing. The sharing is, hey, I'm just going to take a picture of your shirt because I've got a friend who might be interested in learning guitar. Bang. That's what a share generally is. They take a picture and they share with their friend, and their friend might go, oh yeah, big deal, or oh cool, I'll check it out. So when someone shares something, I don't know if you've ever had it, but if one of your friends or family shares something with you, knowing you've got an interest in this particular subject, they could be sharing it with you for many reasons. It could be that you're a teacher, so they're sharing somebody else's teacher site with you just to show you, hey, this is your competition. They could be sharing it with you because they like the way the ad is. Maybe you've got a business and they just want to say, hey, look, this ad looks really cool. Check it out. You may not have any interest in guitar at all. They're just simply sharing the ad with you because you're looking for ideas for ads on Facebook. Even though there are many reasons, most people would be sharing for the fact that, hey, I think that Monty wants to learn guitar, so I saw this came up on my Facebook page. And it's amazing how many people still don't get that they're ads, that they think that it's some information. They don't actually realize that's an ad. It still happens, believe it or not.
See, I would have went straight in and say, hey, interested in lessons? So I'm glad I asked you.
No, it's good. Yeah, go in, being just gentle, because like I say, you never know.
Because Emma says I'm too eager. I go straight for the clothes. I go straight for the clothes. I don't wine and dine them. So I'm working on that.
Yes,
I'm getting better.
Got to romance them a little.
Making a connection.
That's it.
Yeah.
Look, some people want you to go in hard and get the job done, but years in selling is that they're a small percentage. It's the same as any connection with anybody. Most people don't want you to walk straight up to them and say, hey, my name is Monty, what's your name? Give me your phone number. We're going to be best of friends from now on. What? Hey, man, that's a bit weird. I don't know you. first is, hey, how's it going? Good, yeah. Bit cold today? Yeah, cold. Chat, small chat, get to sort of feel each other out. It's just a process, you know. And I always come back to the theory, which may or may not be true, but I like the theory, is that, you know, we evolved living in villages of small numbers, and when we came across another village, generally we were fighting over food or whatever. If you look at the history of Europe for, you know, how many thousands of years, those guys were just killing each other all the time. And you know, Youre it comes from the Vikings, which came down and attacked England many times. So that's why there's probably no difference in their DNA heritage. But so we were very, you know, a stranger, someone who's not from our village, not from our clan, we had to be wary of, because in most cases they probably were going to attack us or kill us. So we've got that history. So when you meet a stranger, the natural reaction is to be wary of you. Who are you? You know, what do you want? So yeah, generally people do want something. That's the funny thing, is they do want something.
Here we go.
Yep. What do you want?
That's what we say. Here we go.
Here we go. That's the local response. So just on your Facebook campaign, how's it going? What's happened so far? Have you got anybody respond yet?
Like approach me?
Yeah. Has anybody sort of no messages yet? Okay. Because what we're finding with it is
shares and comments and likes.
Okay. All right. So and there's obviously awareness going on there. So you're kind of building up this awareness program around it. But what we are finding is that it seems to vary a lot. Some guys are getting really good response from Facebook and getting inquiries, but you know, it's a really good return for them. They've spent you know, maybe $300 or $400, or 400. Sorry, it's in 200 Australian dollars, so about 400 to 600 Australian dollars, let's say, and they picked up, you know, half a dozen inquiries at least, or students, and so. That's on one extreme. On the other extreme, there have been a couple who have spent, you know, $1,000 and they've had nothing. They haven't had a single student. So Facebook is funny, and we're running the same campaigns. It's all the same across the board. So I think with Facebook we need to be a little bit cautious, and you need to work out after a while, is it working for you? If it's not working for you, then you may want to put your money somewhere else. So just keep your eye on it, measure it. I would say that if you get to $600 and haven't got a student out of it, it's probably not going to work very well for you. And I still don't know why. I can't put my finger on what the difference is, because the ads are all the same. I don't know if it's the demographics of where you are, the economy, what, you know, Facebook skeptics in certain areas. Yeah. Keep your eye on it.
Alrighty.
Your investment generally with any marketing is that you're looking to put 80% of your money into the areas that you know are working, and the other 20% is for testing. Just keep testing different platforms, and keep finding that 80%. So if you test over here and you find, wow, I'm getting better results over here, don't take your whole 80% and throw it over here. What you want to do is take some of that 80%, put it over here, and leave it there for a while to make sure that that's going to be consistent. Because you might do a Facebook ad and in the first month you get 2 students. Wow, this is great. Bang, I'll take all my money and put it over here now. And then it was just a lucky first month. And then for the next 6 months you get nothing. That happens. And so, yeah, be cautious. Think of it in 20%, you know. So, okay, 80% of my money goes into the marketing platforms that I know work, but really I should be spreading that across a few different platforms, not just having in one. So we know that, for example, the flyers work, or in your case, the door hangers work. So that's why I would, you know, if you take someone like Youre, who's doing very well, he's invested, you know, the bulk of his money into those ads and to flyers, and that's where he gets the results. Now that doesn't necessarily mean that it's going to be the best thing for someone else to do who's getting good results on Facebook. If you're getting good results on Facebook, keep your money going in there, and in fact increase your budget a little bit and see what happens. But if you're not getting it, then yeah, don't do it. All right.
Okay.
One of the books I read, and I need to go and look up the title again, I can't remember it, but it it really talked about how the best CEOs, those who have got the best return on their investments, are the ones who knew how to use their capital. Basically, it was all about resource allocation, and they kind of, and I mentioned this, in a recent hangout, but just quickly, just so I think it's really important, and that is that where you allocate your resources, whether it be time or money, is what will make the biggest difference to your business. How do you spend your time and how do you spend your money? That's what's going to determine whether or not you're successful, or in fact, and most people are actually really bad at allocating their time and money. They waste so much time on ridiculous, pointless things, and they invest their money into things that they're emotional about, not that are logical. They want to put their money here because it feels good to them. So things like what, and we all do it, but it's funny, and everybody's guilty. My wife will say to me, "Can you do this?" And I say, it's better for me to pay someone to do that than for me to do it, because while I'm doing something over here, doing what I really enjoy, I'm going to earn hundreds of dollars an hour, and you're asking me to do a job that I can pay someone $20 an hour for. Why would I do it? and she's like, and she looks at me and like, who are you going to pay to do it? And, she'll just kind of look at me and like, what? And I say, sweetheart, you've got to trust me on this. It's not worth my time. I'm going to pay someone else to do it. But then she ends up doing it. I say, you don't have to do it either.
That's right. Yep. She wants you to clean the bathroom.
She wants me to do it. That's right.
Yeah. Get that toothbrush out.
That's it. You get down on your hands and knees. Yeah. So.
Cool.
Yeah. If you're earning money teaching, even if you're earning say $50 an hour, which is what a lot of teachers earn, right? Even if you're earning $50 an hour, if there's a job that you can pay someone to do for $20 an hour, you shouldn't be doing that job. You should be doing more teaching. I'm not saying don't do anything. Don't just go from your teaching to lying on the lounge. What you want to do though is just if you feel that you don't have a lot of time, which is often a complaint, look first at the low end of what you're doing. What are the cheap, low-paid jobs that you're doing that you could pay someone else to do, so therefore you do have now more time to spend on your business and to spend marketing. When teachers say to me, oh, I don't have a lot of time to do the flyers, okay, cool, what do you do with the rest of your time? I clean the bathroom with a toothbrush. Pay someone else to clean the bathroom. You go out and do the flyers, because you can come back and you can check the bath. You can say, well, it's been done properly, or you'll find someone who probably do it better than you anyway. Someone who's does it as a profession. Even if you have to pay them more, they'll do it in less time.
Okay.
All right. So yeah, allocation of time and money. Now, Youre wanted to talk about negotiating his lease here, and I think this is a really important topic. So we'll just dive into this and work out. With negotiating a lease, remember that both sides have a story, and one of the things, again, that they found coming back to very successful CEOs and very successful negotiators, the best negotiators they found, and this was done in a study on salespeople. They wanted to look at what the best salespeople were, who are basically negotiators, what they did differently to most other people. And what they found is they spent more time on researching the person they were going to negotiate with or sell to. So the more you know about the other person, and you think about lawyers, okay, who go into a court case, what do? They research the other. We see this in these crime dramas all the time, where you would think that they would be looking hard for information on their case. But what they actually end up doing a lot of is looking for ways to discredit the other. So discredit the witness. If I can discredit the witness who's got compelling evidence against me, if I can show that witness is insane or is a pathological liar, or has a history of getting paid to be a witness or whatever, I can find some damaging information on that person, then that is, you see politicians do it all the time. Rather than saying, I'm going to fix the economy, or I'm going to make things better because I'm going to do this and this. What they do is they target the other guy and say, you realize that particular person had an affair on the 1st of September 2003, blah, blah, blah. It's like, just credit that person, and that way everybody writes them off, and you're just the last man standing, or they don't have any options other than to vote for you. But in the case of sales, and that's a dirty tactic, by the way, but in the case of sales and what you're doing and negotiating, what you're trying to do is find information on them so that you know what you're working with. In other words, in your case, Joachim, you're going to have to negotiate the terms of this agreement. And if they think, often this happens with landlords, it depends on the person, of course, but I've experienced it, my mother experienced it. If they think you're doing really well, then often they will go for a higher rent. So something that you can do in your favor is to say straight up, look, I'm not sure if we're going to be able to continue the lease. Make it, and it's not that you want to be deceptive or lying to them. What you want to do is actually have that option. Think about where will you go if the landlord decides to take full advantage of you and doubles the rent. If that's the case, what are your options? So you need to know that, because realistically you don't want to be paying double the rent, and they will often ask for double the rent, especially if they feel for the last 3 years or whatever that you've been there on your lease that they haven't, they gave you a bit of a discount to come in at a lower rate. And I know you negotiated a good rate when you first came in, but if they feel that okay, you've had a good run now, now it's your turn to give back a little bit, then that's where they may throw a higher rent at you. So.
The thing is, they are it's a Greek community, so it's not just one owner. It's like a community that owns it.
Yep.
Yeah. So I was wondering if that's and they may make it more difficult.
Yeah. They're a community, are they? Did you say?
Yeah, the Greek community.
Oh, okay. All right. Yeah. All right. Well, it depends. It really depends on how they see it and what they're aiming for, because there will always be people in any community, it doesn't matter who they are, who will be reasonable, and there will be some people who will be unreasonable, take advantage, whatever. But I think if you just state your case, that there's generally a major decision maker in any situation. I think Monty could probably understand this, but there are certain situations that the wife, she makes the decision. You know that she's it doesn't matter what you say, what you do, at the end she's going to get her way.
Yeah, there's a reason why the women's bathroom is on the right.
What's that? Say again?
The men's restroom is always on the left. The women's
right.
restroom is on the right. Ha ha ha.
On the right, yes.
Remember that, Joachim.
Yeah, I got it. Yes.
You're always right.
Ha ha ha.
Ha ha ha. The women are always right. Yeah. Well, it's the old. The thing is that there are, and my point is that there are decision makers in every situation. There are times when I make the decisions. I know where my territory is, if you like, where I get to make the call. So in this situation, there will be someone, Joachim, and that's where you want to do your research to find out who the actual decision maker is, and what you can do to find out what their agenda is, and really how to win them over.
Mm. Okay.
Right. It's back to the romancing, back to selling, and it's a situation where you want to say, look, I understand that you own the property and that you want to do well, and etc. But at the moment, we only make so much money. It's been a tough couple of years. We've gotten to this point where we've got our head above water, but if you put the rent up on me more than whatever percentage you're willing to accept, it's going to be tough. Economy's tough right now, and we have thought about moving to Bondi because that's where a lot of our customers come from. We're tossing it up, so it really comes down to what happens here. So yeah, so it's just it's the unfortunately it's the way of it. It's a game. You've got to playing chess. You've got to kind of the face is as important as the actual knowledge of the game and the moves.
Yeah. And what about I was thinking of going for a 5-year lease.
Yep.
So that it's a longer one, so I don't have to deal with it all the time. But what's the sort of do they think then you must be doing well, or?
What you want to do when you go for the 5-year lease or to discuss the 5-year lease, do it from the point of view of look, I'm willing. Don't look enthusiastic about it. Just say I'm willing to sign a 5-year lease if I can get really good terms. If the terms are attractive, I'll go the longer term because I know that's probably what you guys want. You want someone that you can reliably lock in here for 5 years. But I need to know that I'm going to get a good deal to even consider that.
Yeah. Okay. Great.
Because for them it's better to know that they can lock you in for 5 years. That is actually very powerful from a point of view of their investors. If they want to borrow money from the bank looks at their property and says, well, you got a 5-year tenant here. Yeah, okay, we can lend you another $500,000. That's how they see it. They see the value of their property. If they've got you in there on a 6-month lease, they go, there's no long-term security here. This guy could be out of here in 6 months.
Yeah. Great.
So, yeah. All right. Any last questions, comments?
I had another one, but I don't know how long it will take to talk about. But
well, throw it in and I'll see how I go.
It's about hiring a PR company to raise publicity about your company.
I wouldn't say one way or another. I think that it's going to come down to testing them to see if they can do something for you. It all goes back to the Great by Choice. If you've read that book, the analogy there of bullets and then cannonballs. If you can pay them a small amount to do something and see how it looks, see what happens. I would, look. I think this is where joining forces with someone like Alex, because he's got 2 locations in Sydney, you've got 2 locations, and this is what G4 is all about, splitting the costs on these things. So if you can go in with some other members in Sydney, or even in Australia generally, you might be able to get lower the cost and get more value.
Right. Yeah.
All right. So just get some prices and find out a bit more and send me some information and I can give you whatever I think.
Yep. Great.
All right.
Chris Gatto's here. All right. Where you been?
Let the party begin.
That's
Actually,
right.
We're just wrapping up. I think, Chris, you might not have seen the time change. There was a time change. Yeah.
Daylight savings time.
I really wanted to keep you guys on your toes. That's what it is.
That's it. Well, we better let Chris have one question. What do you want to talk about, Chris?
I actually didn't have any. I wanted to just kind of hang out and just take notes. So so I'm good. And
okay,
I apologize for the mix-up.
No. It's daylight saving in Australia, so I actually adjusted the time. Where I am, it's not daylight saving, but where the guy Youre is and down south, it's changed. Yours has changed too, has it?
Yeah, it's an hour early, so I had to rush home. That's why I wasn't quite ready.
Right, okay, yeah. It's changed. It's an hour earlier for you, both you guys, I think, right, in the US.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
No, it fell back. It's later. We fall back
right.
and spring forward.
Oh, okay, cool. Yeah, so it's an hour later. Yep. So you can watch the replay, Chris, and if we have any questions, fire them away on Facebook as usual. But good to see you here. Great to have you on board.
Yeah.
That's the beauty of replay. I can listen to it anytime. So.
That's it, exactly. And just so you guys know, next week I won't be here.
Right.
We'll miss next week, but I'll be back because I'm going down to Sydney. Yep, I'll be right down where Yoakum is this time. Well, I'll be down there this week, but yeah, I won't be back on board here until late Wednesday. So, okay, cool. Well, we're all done.
I guess I got a little question for Chris. You doing the flyers? And if so, what company do you use?
I'm using a local company here in New Jersey.
Okay.
I'm actually using postcards. So
okay.
What I was using was a firm called Postcard Mania that Adam Wines used in the beginning.
Okay, you messaged me on Facebook about that.
That's right, we talked about that. Yeah, and he left them, and so did I, only because they're a little bit on the expensive side. It was effective, but it was expensive. So then I actually wound up switching to a local printing company right here, near my house, and that's been working out pretty well. So actually, the results haven't been as good as Postcard Mania, but I think it's just coincidence, Okay. And I really need to be doing more, actually, just door hangers. But I've been using the postcards just because it's a major time saver for me.
Yeah.
2,500 postcards go out in one day and it's done. But you have to pay for it. So that's the catch-22.
So where did you get the door hangers made?
Door hangers was made by Lady Printing, and I think that's
All right.
I think a lot of us have used them. They're
Yeah.
They're in the Evernote. Yeah. She's really cheap yeah.
I just sent them the the template and everything. So it's in the works.
Right.
Flyers are in the works for Pittsburgh. So.
Awesome.
Excellent.
So you're going to be doing the door hangers then, right?
Yeah.
Yeah. What I use
time before it starts snowing.
Exactly. The post office has a new program. What you do is you drop off a few thousand flyers, and you pay them a few $100s. And what they do is the postal delivery guy puts them in the mailbox in his route. So it's part of his route now.
Yeah.
So there's no postage stamp that gets applied to it. It's actually a service provided by the post office. So that's what I've been using. It's a little bit more. It's a little cheaper than using traditional mailing. So.
All right. Yeah, I'll look into that too.
It's called
cool.
Yeah.
It's not targeted. It's just basically every house gets it. Is that right?
Exactly. Every house on the route that you choose will get that postcard.
Yeah. And with Postcard Mania, was it kind of targeted demographically?
Yes. What you would do is you would buy a list of the demographics that you asked for. For example, I would choose houses with families, houses with with children, with houses with a certain income, say $65,000 and more, and I would buy that list, and all the postcards would go only to those homes.
Yeah.
So the idea is you're targeting more of what you're looking for. That actually gave me really good results. I'm not sure if it's coincidence just yet or not, but I did pretty good with those. So.
Yeah, it's all about return on investment, and that's really what it comes down to. If you spend $1,000 in advertising and get one student, if that one student is worth $2,000, you doubled your money, that's why we're playing both sides of that the whole time. We're looking for the best return in terms of how much do we pay to get a student, where's the lowest cost that I can find, and then on the other side, what's the best return I can get on a student? So, get the students at an age when they're likely to stay for years, they're likely to refer, all that sort of thing. So that's where we're really targeting that, and because we are in business, and even though we want to do the best for our students and have the best teaching, and we're not shortcutting on that, as you know, but at the same time, for us to give the best value to our students and have a great program, we need to be obviously profiting well, and that's where a lot of people, a lot of teachers especially, and in business, they struggle to make the profit so they end up cutting corners. If you think of the classic example I always use is a restaurant can't have the best ingredients and charge the lowest price in town. You can't expect to get a fantastic meal if you're paying a couple of dollars for it. It's got to be, the food has to be low quality for them to manage that, or the chef has to be a low standard, whatever. So there needs to be a profitable business. Will be a business that will, providing the owner's not greedy, is a business that will be able to give the customer, in our case the student, the best possible return for their investment.
Absolutely.
Yeah. So keep looking for Chris, you're a good example, because Chris is the example of someone who's spent quite a bit on Facebook ads but hasn't really had a great return. I think you picked up 2 students over 12 months. Is that right, Chris?
Correct. Yes.
Yeah. And spending 200 Aussie dollars, which is about 150 US dollars a month for a year, and he's picked up 2 students. And look, if he keeps those 2 students and they refer some students, he's definitely going to get his money back. But it hasn't been what I would call a great return on Facebook. But like I said, there are other teachers out there who have been getting a really good return. Trevor in the UK just emailed me saying that he's been picking up students. He's only been doing it for a couple of months, and he's been picking up. He's picked up a few students already, and he's really happy with it. Yeah. So
everybody's coming in here now. Hey, Adam, how you doing? We're going to do a 2-hour hangout here.
I'll leave you guys to keep hanging out. I got to go. But Adam, just so you know,
we got to clean the bathroom.
The time changed. I did put the time changes up on Facebook, but I got to go and clean the bathroom with a toothbrush.
Okay.
You had to be here earlier to get that. So yeah. But while we've got Adam here, just touching on, we're just talking about the different online marketing. Adam, you've been getting reasonable results from your online marketing, Facebook and AdWords that we're running.
Yeah, definitely.
Yeah. So you can see the difference, and I've got it seems to be about. I mean, there's a range, but there's about 50-50. 50% of the teachers are getting good results from Facebook and AdWords, and the other 50% are getting, low to okay results. So and the ads are the same. There's no difference. So it's really hard to know. It could be a combination of things as well. In other words, Adam's doing a lot of door hangers, and he's out there with his T-shirt, and he's also building a great reputation in the area. So it may be a combination of things, and in most cases it is. I found that people start to connect the different things that you're doing. Like if you have a commercial location, which Adam obviously has, Youre has, these guys are seen on the street as well. So people who live in the area, they kind of get a feel for where their location is. It may not necessarily be in the main street or the most obvious point, even though I know that Youre is. It's still a commercial location, so it tends to carry a little bit more weight. So yeah, so this is what's great about our network, is you're getting the clues from different angles. We know there's not just one way, and you're not just looking at your business and going, well, this doesn't work, Facebook doesn't work. We know Facebook works, we know Thumbtack works, but it doesn't work for everybody. And why isn't it working for everybody? And that's where I think, Monty, you're a great example, as I think David Mins is doing real well with it, and you've actually encouraged a couple of the other teachers to get onto Thumbtack now, who are doing well with it. But then there's some other teachers who've tried it, who've really put in a lot of time and effort on it, and really it wasn't worth their time, or they didn't get the result they were looking for. But I would say to those teachers, if what you're doing is working and you're happy with that, cool, but not to discount or not to write off Thumbtack straight away, because there may be something that they're missing.
Yeah, I got 4 quotes today and 2 inquiries from.
Okay, excellent. So
that's still where I'm getting that's 80% of my students, I guess.
Yeah, right, but you are the #1 in Pittsburgh. #1.
That's right.
No teacher.
I got the certificate to prove it. 5 stars.
You've got the certificate. I've seen it. I've seen the photos.
Yeah, like 20 hires now so far. They haven't all stuck, but I think 13 students are still with me.
Yeah,
from
fantastic.
Bobcat.
What a great return. That's it. It's a fantastic return. I mean, I don't know, what have you spent? How much have you spent?
I'm starting to do more quotes, so it's probably more like 65 a month.
Okay, all right.
But still.
So, but you look at over the long term. I mean, have you been doing it for a year, 2 years? How long have you been doing it?
Well, I've been doing it for years actually, but it didn't really work until I started G4 because now I got the website and you know.
You got it backed up. Yeah.
And I beefed up my profile. I have probably 13 testimonials, lots of testimonials, and it just looks better than my competition.
Fantastic. Yeah. Excellent. That's what we want. We want
to gotta impress them. You gotta hit them with a bang. Like the first song. You gotta start with the best song as the first song. I don't know.
They say these days websites you got milliseconds. If you don't impress them within milliseconds, then they're out of here. People that have very short attention spans. Sorry, Chris, were you going to say something then?
No, it was actually regarding Thumbtack, and it's funny because my situation is the total opposite. I only get an occasional inquiry, maybe once a month, and I put it in my quote, and I've never gotten a student yet. Now, it's only been 6 months, and it hasn't really cost me much, so I'm okay with it. And I probably do need to improve my profile and things like that. But it's just interesting how I wonder if it's the geographical area or it could be a lot of different things. But it's very, very weak where I live right now. Yeah. I have gotten a lot of questions, but people are very far away. They're like an hour away or 45 minutes, and a lot of feedback I've gotten from people was that I really liked, your profile, but you're too far away.
Yeah.
So it just depends.
Yeah. Are you where you are? Is it kind of, does everyone have sort of big houses and big property, or is it densely?
It is suburban, but it's a little bit more sparse. So we're a little bit out in the country,
Semi-rural, as we like to say.
It's semi-rural, exactly.
Yeah, okay. Because that will have an effect. If someone like Monty who's in Pittsburgh, I'm imagining you're there. There's people kind of densely populated in your area. Is that right, Monty? No, he looks like he's frozen up there. Yeah. So I'm gathering that's the case where he is in Pittsburgh. It's more of a condensed population. I think that it does. With certain types of marketing, it does come down to numbers, and if you're where you are, maybe that's why Facebook wasn't working so well for you as well, because the population is too sparse. So the people who were seeing the ad were, Facebook are trying to make up the budget, so they're probably spreading the ad further, even though I've targeted into that area. Maybe they're hitting the same people more to try and get the clicks up. I don't know, but yeah, I would just imagine that when you've got a smaller, more densely populated area, you've got more people to sort of throw the ad around, so therefore you're going to get a better return. So there's some of the factors that may be affecting where you are, and that's cool. I think probably one of the strengths of an area that you live in is that there would be a bit more of a, that country community feel. People who, you go to the shops, you walk down the street, you're more likely to run into someone than, somewhere like a densely city, imagine in the middle of New York, which I think you came from originally, is that right? You lived in Staten Island or something like that, yeah.
Exactly, yeah, that's right, yeah.
Very, very different feel, right? People are...
no doubt. Yeah, I feel like I'm in God's country right now.
That's it. Big, big difference. Yeah. So, yeah, we'll just, Monty, I don't know if you heard me, but before you cut out there, we were just talking about how where you are, is it quite densely populated? It's it's a city environment.
Oh yeah, very. Yeah, I'm centrally located, so it's really ideal.
Yeah, yeah. So you've got, every area has different strengths and weaknesses, different advantages. So it's really a matter of playing the advantage wherever you're at. So we often get hooked into what's wrong with where we are, why it's not working, why it's not good. But what we should really be focusing on is why is this area good? What are the advantages of it? And I think Chris, where you are having that bit more kind of country, semi-rural feel, then it'd be a lot easier to connect up with the community and get to know everyone in the community. Here in Cairns, where I am, it's a population of about 150 to 200,000, and it's a beautiful spot. But most people here are connected in one way or another. There's a kind of a bunch of communities, but it wouldn't take you long to find, to connect to everybody in this community. So yeah, it's
Right,
one of the strengths of a smaller community. You can quickly become well known in your area. All right, cool. Any last of? I do have to go in a minute because that bathroom's waiting for me, as Monty mentioned. Well, just to bring you guys into the joke, I was just talking earlier about how you need to not be spending time doing jobs that you could be paying someone else to do at a lower rate. If you're earning $50, $100 an hour teaching guitar, you shouldn't be doing jobs like cleaning your bathroom with a toothbrush that you could pay the kid next door to do for a lot less. Give those jobs to other people and focus on your business and whatever free time you've got to spend with your family or whatever. So yeah.
And Chris has kids, so you can just have your kids do it.
Pretty soon.
They're not old enough yet.
My oldest is 8. I'm going to put him to work.
That's right.
Put him to work. I was doing
my
paper rounds at that age.
That's right.
Yeah, my kid's just
different world
glued
back
to the
then.
computer. I got to turn off the Wi-Fi to get them to clean the bathroom.
Well, you can get them on the computer as long as they learn how to turn it into a business. IT, like there's some very young millionaires out there these days. I'm talking 10, 11, 12-year-olds that have turned. They're if they're going to be on the computer, this is what I said to my wife. If our daughter's going to be on the computer, I want her to be learning something. I don't want her to just be surfing silly websites. So make use of the time. All right, cool. Well, sorry that you didn't all get the message there, but next week, just so you know, Adam, I won't be here because I'll be going down to Sydney, and so we'll skip next week and then the week after. And just remember the time change. We've shifted it by an hour. I hope that still works for you guys. Not too late for you, but
every hangout shifted by an hour?
no, just the one because my time didn't change. I changed my schedule because this was originally set up as a Sydney hangout to accommodate for those guys. So that's why I shifted it for their time, because otherwise it's too late because they start teaching now, or they have to get onto their business.
No, I was just curious. Was this the only one that changed?
Yes, this is the only one that changed. The others stayed the same. Yeah.
Okay, cool. And isn't there another one my time that's like Thursday night or something? There
is, yeah. That stayed the same. And they're up on the Facebook page as well. So if you look at the top of the Facebook page.
It's a Thursday night, pretty late though. Like
it is for you,
11 or midnight.
For you, East Coasters, is that what they call you? East Coasters?
Yeah. Eastern time.
Eastern time. Yep. For you,
that's going to be kind of late.
It's for the.
I'll be coming home from practice and.
Yeah. So it's for the other guys on the other side of the West Coast. So.
Cool.
That's their time, because otherwise it's too early for them. They're still teaching. I think the internet has solved many problems, but not the time. I don't think we'll ever be able to get on the same time unless they can shift the sun or something. I don't know. They'll work it out.
Yeah.
Facebook are taking over the world, I heard, so they'll work it out.
Well, I looked at your schedule and I saw that the time was changed. I figured I should look since we just had daylight savings time.
Yeah. When do you guys change? When's the daylight saving change?
That was Sunday. Yeah, Sunday.
Sunday. So it happened just on Sunday. Gone.
Yeah, I was wondering why I was so well rested, and then I saw one of my clocks was an hour early, and figured it out.
Yeah. All right. Okay. So you coordinated with Australia as well. So Australia went the other way. So Yeah.
Wow.
All right.
That's
Beautiful.
because you're going into your spring and we're going into winter. That's why.
Exactly.
It all
Exactly.
makes sense. Wow.
And I'll be
Spring
going.
forward, fall back.
That's
Spring
it.
forward.
That's
Wow.
it. Well, it'll
Another
all be
opposite.
you know, because I'm going to Japan at the end of the year, so I'll be sort of really out of kind of sync when all that happens, straight into the freezing cold. So I'll be able to empathise with you guys, because I know you all get cold winters where you are, right? All three of you.
Oh yeah.
Oh yeah.
Yeah.
Polar
Yep.
vortex is what we're throwing around now.
Okay.
Where am I?
Polar and vortex. Wow, sounds-
That's when your windows freeze and you get frost on the inside of your house on the windows. That's how cold
Right.
it gets at my house. Yeah.
Right.
It gets like 20 below zero sometimes.
Okay. Wow, that's cold.
Yeah.
That's
It really
very,
cold.
very cold. Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. I don't know that I even have ever experienced that, to be honest. I don't ever remember.
Yeah, the furnace, it seems like it doesn't even turn off. You know? That's when
All
you
right,
know
well,
it's a cold day.
you can have that. You can enjoy that, Monty.
Oh, yeah. That's
Uh,
when we do more thumbtack in the winter.
Good. Good. I'll leave you guys to it. And yeah, hopefully I'll see you in 2 weeks.
Sounds
Unless
good.
you
Alrighty,
can join
sounds
me
good.
this week. By the way, just in case you are up late, I won't be at that either. So
Right.
there'll be no hangouts now until the Friday or your Thursday of next week. That'll be the next hangout.
Okay.
All
Alright,
Thanks,
so
guys.
you're finishing with a bang.
finishing with a bang.
Thanks, guys.
Finishing with a long one.
That's
We've got an hour and
right.
a
The
half.
best hangout.
That's it. My favorite guys. I always say that. You're my favorite. Like the
right.
children.
We're all
You're
your
my number
favorites.
one. I always say to my daughter, you're my favorite daughter. You're my only daughter, but you're my favorite.
She'll get it later.
Yes.
Alright,
All right,
dude.
thanks, guys.
Rock on.